2 and 1.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Ashwati from Virtusa. Thank you for joining us. A dream written down with a note becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed by action makes your dreams come true. Today's webinar on skill sets and traits for the near future, making you job qualified by Dr. Ashwin, is going to help you move one step closer towards your goal. Before we get started, if you have any questions, please type them down in the Q&A chat box and it will be discussed at the end of the session. There'll also be a link given where you're supposed to register yourself so that you will get your certificates later. Without any further ado, I take honor in introducing our speaker, Dr. Ashwin Sadasiva Kumar. He completed his PhD from the Chitkara University, Punjab, and the topic of his doctoral research was employability skills and emotional intelligence as determinants of employer satisfaction in information sector technology in India. He has been an impactful leader in the IT industry with 24 plus years of experience and has worked with top customers in various domains of retail banking, education, travel, logistics. Dr. Ashwin has exposure across various cultures and GEOs. He has held significant roles in delivery, practice, operations, supply chain management, and pre sales with strong focus on customer engagement across the value chain. He has been working with the Virtusa Consulting Services Private Limited for the past 6 years and at present holds the position of Senior Vice President and is based out of Chennai office. In his current role, Capability Transformation and Operations Head at Virtusa, he holds the responsibility of end-to-end workforce supply chain management with specific focus on transforming the workforce to fulfill the needs of digital world and Industry 4.0. On his academic front, he has completed the Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, Bharatiya University. He has also completed PGDBA courses on Finance Management and Retail Management from the Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies. He is also a certified NLP practitioner and a certified habits creation coach. He's developed a passion towards being fit and has also influenced and coached many people to take up this passion. He manages a trust called Bringing Smiles, which has been transforming the lives of underprivileged children, especially in education. Ending on this bright note, I request Dr. Ashwin to take over the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwati. Kriti, you're able to hear me, right?
Loud and clear.
Okay, and you're able to see the presentation also, correct?
Yes, all set.
Oh, hey, first of all, thanks a lot. Thanks, Kriti, and thanks for the team for giving me this opportunity. And and thanks for the long introduction. And I think it is good for me to reflect what I have achieved in life and starting my session with a gratitude towards it. Uh, this is my favorite and the best quote. I do it in all my presentations, whether it is customer or students. Dream is not what you see in sleep. Dream is something which doesn't let you sleep. So that's been my motto. That's been what I try to follow. That's the thing which I try. Sometimes I get off it, but then this brings me back my path. And with the deepest gratitude for this opportunity, I'd like to thank you for making it to this session and hope this makes a difference to you. I always think you are going to spend this another 50 minutes to 1 hour with me. Hope this makes a difference to you, and I'm sure it'll make a difference to me because when you talk, you also make a difference to yourself too. Okay, so starting with that note, I like to go back in any session. The key takeaways are talked about the end. So what I would like to do is, I promise you that when you end of this session, you will go away with 6 takeaways. Okay, the 6 takeaways will be clear. Let's see if you have time for one, but then 6 for sure you will be the takeaways, and I will try to reflect this into each during my slides, and this is going to be the topic of my entire discussion. To going into the first First is talking about the first thing, and this is reflecting in the title of the presentation: being certified versus qualified. So when I always try to tell a story in terms of while conveying a point. When I used to be a 2-year, 3-year experience, or even a fresher, I used to run after certifications. Can I get certified in MFC? Can I get certified as a network engineer? It's all very good and it all helped me a lot. Then what I have seen going through the career of 24, 25 years, how qualified are you makes the difference from the certification. Because if you look at it, right, so about 7 lakh engineers come from the southern part of India every year, pass out. About maybe 2.5 lakh people get a very good jobs, right? Or maybe less. So what do you see the difference? All are certified, but are they qualified is the question. So one important step towards you is how qualified are you? And it's a bit different from certification. And it's not about theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge. It is with a practical knowledge without theory is useless, and a theory the vice versa is also not right. You need to be certified, but how qualified are you? And that is key for opportunities. So one of the key takeaways, if you look at it, the first takeaway for you from this session is get qualified. I will get you certain methods to get qualified, but then there are some umpteen number of methods. You just have to start the thinking process towards getting qualified. And if you look at it with this COVID situation and other situation, right, you would have heard about a lot of job loss. You would have heard about people being redundant. But then if you look at it, right, every company sheds off about 15% of the people. Max, I'm just saying 15, 10%, 5%, 15%. Even the things are really bad, 20%. Why do you think that 80% have their job still? Why that 75% or 80% have their job still? Because they're qualified for the job. They have made it not only in getting into a job, once you get into a job, how consistently you qualify yourself with skill sets, with your traits, with your attitude, with your hard work and passion, everything put together. How do you get qualified? And this is not for IT industry, this is across industries. People lose jobs. Our focus is on, media focuses on people losing jobs. But then when people are losing jobs, you should understand that there is about 80-85% of people who are holding to their jobs. Why? Because they are qualified. And imagine, even if a person loses a job because of the company goes down or whatever, right? If he is qualified, don't you think he'll get a job? Yes, there will be some delays. Yes, there will be some this thing, but they will definitely get a job. So important that you see, getting a job and being a job or being an entrepreneur is not only needed for you, it is a duty for you as a son, as a family person, as an Indian, as a human. Getting qualified is most important. So I don't want to go more than this. The first point takeaway is, please get your mindset into getting qualified. Okay. Big slide, and this is regarding my PhD study. Okay. So I didn't introduce myself because Ashwati did a lot, but in terms of, and this I've seen, why I did this, my doctorate is, if you look at it, right, when industry 1.0, if you call it the steam engine made the difference. Then 2.0, electricity made the difference. 3.0, computers made the difference. And 4.0 was nothing but IoT, getting connected, getting different in these things. So this is where we were about. And if I had presented you in January or December, even February, right, when I had my convocation, this is a valid slide. Airbnb was doing great, a lot of companies were doing great, and this is where we were talking about 4.0 getting all things changed in 2 months. But as the fundamentals gone, no. But as it changed a lot. So I want to touch upon this, but this was my study where what is the drivers for your technology? If you look at it, right, these were steam engine, electricity, computers, IoT, and now this disruption of this pandemic, right? It is not going to change the fundamentals, but it will alter the our perspective and what is required from us. And this is a valid study if you look at it, right? Even before COVID, and this is from source of economic EY. If you look at it, right, 9% of the workforce today, and it's across industry, will be deployed in new jobs that does not even exist today. 37% will have jobs which radically change their skill set. 54% will be remain the same. This is before this pandemic. If you now do a study, I'm sure that 54% will move into this side, and we might have about 20-25% remaining in that, or 30%. I do not know, but then it would have drastically changed to this side. Every job is changing. Our requirement. I have seen my job change in the past 2 months. What is required for me, how I operate. Simple fact, how I think I'm not how I get ready for office, how I respond to calls, everything has changed. So very important to understand is change is the only thing constant. So you will see, and this is not only for people who are joining the company, this is for people who are being part of companies having 10 years, 15 years, change is the only thing constant. These were my variables of my study. Employability skills, and I had gone into technical skills, management skills, communication skills, different levels. And what I used was the emotional intelligence and employer satisfaction. If you look at it, these were the three variables of my study and how they were related to each other. And the study showed that emotional intelligence, even if you have high employability skills, your emotional intelligence makes a difference in terms of employee satisfaction. And even in employability skills, you're managing yourself. And it says management skills. It's when I say management, don't think about project management, program management. It's managing yourself, managing your work. That's also part of management. And now with this remote scenario, you managing yourself has become more important than the project, anybody else managing you. It's very important that you manage yourself. That's where these three skill sets, variables were part of my study. And these were the key findings. And the study found that emotional intelligence is a significant mediator between these two. Then management skills, technical skills, and communication skills are very important. A three combination. You can't say I am good in this, I'm good in that. It's a combination of all these three. And communication is not English. Communication is definitely not English. Communication is how clearly you can communicate, how clearly you can listen. Listening is part of communication. And then how emotional intelligence is a key influencer in satisfaction. And it's we all knew it, but this was empirically and studied, data analyzed. I analyzed about respondees about 2,500 people, and across various IT companies. And what I also found is this is very common not only in IT, in different scenarios also. So, okay, key takeaway. This is not your second takeaway. All my study shows is get qualified. So this is a very, and I'm going to repeat myself. This, even if you do not take anything from this 50 minutes, take this. Take this. How do I get qualified? Whether it's just not going to a training program. It is just not going to a certificate. It is just not finishing your degree. How do I get qualified? How do I make it industry ready? How can I ensure that when I join engineering, I automatically think I am a fresher? When you going forward, when you join engineering, you should start thinking as you're joining a company. You have to learn your basics, you have to learn the theory behind it, but you also have to start the process of getting qualification. That 4 years of your degree or 3 years if you're MCA, whatever, right? is going to be very, very important, because you won't get that time when you start. The industry has become so cruel, there is no time. When I joined TCS 1996, I was given 6 months to get myself trained. I had 6 months, another 6 months of shadowing into. When I say shadow, I will learn from other people. Now we don't give that luxury to freshers. So you after the 4 years is your only time to learn. So as and when you're going through your education, please spend that time to get qualified. Okay, so this, I'm not going to come back to this key takeaway one. So key takeaway one is getting qualified. Okay, this I actually read it on the web and I found it very. So if you look at an IT company, right? So it is, we are not a product. Most of the, and I'm not talking about product companies, I'm talking about service companies. These are our customers, whether it is financial services, retail, airlines, tourism, mechanical. So if you look at it, who is having the three industries which are really having a big problem? They are going through some, what to say, extraordinary times in the wrong way. Airlines, tourism, retail. Our customers, there is a huge problem in these customers. But if you look at financial services, pharma, construction, mechanical engineering, logistics, automotive, oil and gas have challenges, but then there are projects when you have challenges. So I want you to take away one important thing in this entire discussion is everything is not lost or everything is not shaking. There are industries which are doing extremely well. For example, our pharma, our healthcare, the customers we are saving, which we are serving, are doing extremely well. We are seeing business grow. Our financial services is growing. Obviously, there are challenges. Obviously, there are cost pressures. But then it is growing. We need people. And we will send out people who are not qualified. We will take people who are qualified. So that's the business, and that's the reality of life. So we need to understand this very clearly. So my second takeaway is, please look at the people, look at what is happening is a part of the business, a part of the pie is getting disturbed. It is not. I was talking to one of my friends. I was part of this training program, physical training program from Quad, and there is a person who works in one of the travel companies. You know what? People are able to sell travel packages. I was very surprised. People are able to sell travel packages. Why they are now saying that people can work even at any places. So why not work in a resort? And people are buying. There is potential. It is just needs to be tapped. I was very surprised. I was thinking they can't sell. And in one particular research, they said there are star awards being given for selling packages, and people are buying. And it's not cheating the people. People, real ourselves, they travel to a resort, work there with social distancing. Okay, so it's all happening. So just understand, put positivity to your mind that one part of business or how you do business is getting questioned. And if you look at it, I will just use one. I go to this physical training program for the past 3 years, 3.5 years, literally. The entire lockdown, they were not closed. Everything was online. They changed online, right, left. Look at us. Look at the how we serve Virtusa as a company. Within a month, we had 99% of our people working in. Not all of them had laptops. Not all of them had desktops. We had to ship desktops. We had to but then we got it working. So what I want to leave you is that the pandemic has caused a lot of trouble, but don't focus only on the trouble. Look at what is happening. There is industry blooming. There is companies who are doing good. Yes, there is challenge. Yes, there is a salary are getting cut. But then look at the perspective. We survived this 1 year, 1.5 years. India is going to be a destination for anybody. It's a no-brainer. I don't have to be a Joshier for that. It is a no-brainer. We will be successful. It's just a matter of staying and getting yourself qualified, understanding your skill sets and improving upon it. So that's my second takeaway. Don't get bothered too much about what's happening, job loss and all that. Everything will happen. But those who are getting a job, those who are keeping the job are still there. and the customers, only a part of customers are being challenged. This I would like to spend a little bit more time. I know you guys are looking at some technology part of it. See, these are my skill sets, not only for the future, even if you want to enter us now. Technology fundamentals. I get so when I went through my college and I went through training in my first company, TCS, the technology fundamentals which were put to me were strong. Now, if you look at it, right, I can go and do a code review. I've not seen code for a long time, but then I'm sure I can see it in one day because my fundamentals are very strong. So get your, whether it is concepts of C which you are learning in college, whether your concepts of coding which you are learning. I will spend some time on coding specifically. Deep language skills. When I say deep language, when you choose your skill, Java is 70% of the business, or 60, 65. It's coming down, but still a large part of our business. Python is good. Choose a couple of languages, get deep into it. You should know inside out of it. Full stack. You have to know, no longer people will take you if you are only a Java engineer. You have to know front end, you have to know back end. You have to know the DevOps part of it. So you need to be a full stack engineer. Exposure to AI/ML. Everything now is looked about automation. Automation is being replaced. I won't say replaced. It's getting embedded into AI/ML. You have to know, get exposed. And this is not only IT. This is for every company, every other field. You need to know AI/ML. Data and cloud as a differentiator. Engineering tools. This is the skill set. I would say, if you look at it, first year, and I'm just saying bachelor's of engineering, if you have 4 years, first 2 years you have to spend time on fundamentals, coding, deep language skills, starting with full stack. Third year you start with full stack. Fourth year you need to get exposed to AI/ML, data, cloud, and engineering. This is how my journey. As part of my curriculum, I do my engineering, which is bachelor's of computer science, electronics, whatever. But I will start where technology fundamentals, coding, deep language. Join a course. Join Udemy, whatever you want. But spend time. Spend time. Any guy, any engineer who's joining as a fresher now, the next 4 years, he needs to dedicate 1 or 2 hours per day in getting himself ready for the industry. And if you are in third year, final year, you have to spend 2 hours. That's all. Because your last 2 years, and if you have not started, start now. It's not late. You can do that. So these are your tools. And let me get to coding. See, where I get sometimes, I won't say annoyed, but people have to consider coding as part of your life, because we are in the industry of software, and coding is the most important thing to us. You really need to structurally do that. You really need to develop as a good coder, because what happens is, this is your differentiator. And very soon, I read somewhere, one of my very close friends wrote this: coding is going to be your resume. When you go join a company, now nobody is going to ask you a resume. They're going to ask you, what have you coded? What have you coded? What are the level of coding that you have done? So you have, and show me the code. GitHub, put it in GitHub, and so you have to create your repository in terms of coding. So one takeaway in terms of this time, I've given the takeaway as technical skill set, but the more nearer to that is, coding will be your future resume. Nobody is going to see your resume. Yeah, you might have it as just a paper, but code you write, code that you have developed is your resume. Suppose you have developed a small project, and that's your resume. You can, in any interview, you can talk about it. Any interview, you can show the code about it. Any interview, you can show how well you have done that. So that's your differentiator. I talked about getting qualified. I talked about getting put positive into it. Third, coding is your resume. I've combined it into technical skill sets. But in one word line, if you want me to say, coding is equal to your resume. So that's the third takeaway. In terms of soft skills and personal traits, and this I've seen it was very important even before the pandemic. It is now getting important more. Integrity. Now nobody is going to watch over you. Yes, we have tools on productivity checking and all that, but it's not going to help. It's high levels of self-integrity. You have to work during your working times. You have to have a balanced life. Flexibility. People about locations, about timings, time zones. Very important. Self-motivated, because a lot of time people in office we can get motivated by our colleagues, by our managers, by leaders. Now you're all working from home. How do you get being yourself motivated? Available. How available are you? How collaborate, because it's a different thing to collaborate in person. How can you collaborate in this remote world? Everything is remote. Your education is remote. Your working is remote. I have not seen my team apart from on the machine. I've not seen my team for the past 4 months, 4.5 months, literally. Not seen them, but then we talk daily. We see daily. From my at least my immediate reporters, I see them in the PC. That's all. So you need to do this. The first one I can't say more. Whoever in this call, if you are there in this call, you are a blessed guy. There are people in this world who don't have this opportunity. Have gratitude. The first gratitude towards it, and when you have gratitude, it's a very different. I have seen this. When I show gratitude, I actually own up things. When my manager gives me a work, when Kriti asks me to take this session, I have gratitude towards him, and that's why I own it. And this presentation I had to, along with my work, I had to do this at 1 o'clock in the night, but I had to do that. So gratitude and ownership, people may not relate these two, but it's actually related. When you have gratitude, you will get more ownership. So these are your soft skills. During COVID, what has happened is this integrity part, I can't stress more. Very, very important that you do this, because we are seeing people stumbling on it if they are not monitored. What is going to happen is, see, you can't cheat the system for long. You will get caught, and those are the people will lose jobs. Okay, so that's my second thing. And there are a lot of soft skill and personal traits. If you want me to take point 1, is about your availability and collaboration, because in the remote world, how you collaborate, how you keep yourself available along with your personal things, you have to. When I started this remote sessions, right, I used to think work from home is very easy, because I used to work from home before the pandemic also. Then I realized when I used to work from home in January, it's very different from now, because everybody is working from home. Okay, so very important that you understand, and very important that you have a balanced life. You have a proper schedule of getting up, getting to office. One of my colleagues suggested to me, she wears the same dress as of going to office and sits for that at the same time. Very important. Even my school, my daughter, the school teacher is saying, right, you get same time, school time, remote session start. So very important that we have a discipline, and availability and collaboration is a very key skill. So that's my 4th in terms of soft skills and personal traits. And in terms of the next one, and this is part of my study. If you look at it, right, 2020, this is not me, this is World Economic Forum. In terms of 2015, how it has changed to 2020. In terms of complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management. And if you see, emotional intelligence was not part of it in 2015. People didn't realize, but even now, this one becomes more. And that's very related to the project types that we get. See, when I was 5-6 years back, we used to have project teams of 100. You have 100, project team used to be 100. Now the project team size has shrunk to 10. So the 10 people, each of them have to think differently, because what used to happen is when you get 100 people, right, you have about 10 people only thinking, another 90 people actually following what the 10 people say. But now the project size itself is 10. So everybody needs to have that emotionally intelligent, have to have that critical thinking. The key takeaway from this is, what is emotional intelligence? How can I define? And this is, my study was part of this, self-emotional appraisal. And this is nothing but, I always know whether I am happy or not. What is my state of being? What am I? That's very important. I am sensitive to the others. And another one is regulation, and this happens remotely, when you're not able to see people, right? You cannot say what situation they are in, and how do you control your emotions? It's all, it's a learning path. It's I also falter in this in terms of understand, because in this remote world, we don't see all of them. So how do you control your emotions? And then use of your emotion. How can I use my emotion to build my competency and say that I am competent in different forums? So it is not about, when you say emotional intelligence, it is not about I am being calm and patient. That's very important. But then there are structural elements to this emotional intelligence. Spend some time on it at this within this 1 hour. I can't. This is a very long chapter, and in terms of what is that, these are the 4 parameters of emotional intelligence: my self-emotional appraisal, others emotional, regulation, and use of emotion. Right? So it's a very complicated stuff. And what this, if you ask me, somebody asked me this question some time back, what is this 4 months taught me? The 4 months have taught me this practically, because the first, when I started working remote totally, it was chaos the first couple of weeks. I didn't know whether I was working or I didn't know what I was doing at home. But then when I started using this framework of sitting back, understanding what I am and how can I understand others, it is better. So this is not a talk on terms of how good you are, how you can build up a good nature. It is very important even in to learn and deliver projects. So it's very important that you understand that emotional intelligence is a key part. You have seen the latest news and all that, right? You can be the most successful person, but if you are emotionally not intelligent, or if you're not, what to say, having these 4 parameters working together in tandem, you might falter, and you might falter a lot. And that's another important point, which my 5th point, in terms of how do you manage your emotions? How do you understand? First of all, you have to manage means you have to understand what are you made up, and that's in terms of emotional intelligence. Last one from my side is in terms of, and I think I'll stop talking another 5 minutes and then open up for questions. What is the focus on self is my 6th takeaway. Very important, and I've seen this across my team. I manage a large bench in Virtusa. I manage the info. Very important that you have personal value. And actually it was the last point of this, but I would like to spend more time there. What do you bring to the table? See, if you ask me, what I bring to the table is extraordinary amount of execution. I can execute meticulously. I can know, I can contribute, I can value add, but then my personal value is execution. Take it up, end-to-end closure, and deliver the results without faltering or without giving excuses. That's my personal value. Somebody's personal value can be consulting. I can come up with the world's best idea. So you have to find what is your personal value, not your team's value, not your what your family has given you. What is your personal value? And each one of us have to define this. And each one, even if you're in your technology, in your company, if people can identify you as your personal value, and it cannot be one, because if that company doesn't need that one, you might be in trouble. But you have to define your top 3 personal values that you as a person, they can put you into any team. Ashwin can be put into delivery, can be put into this, can be put into that. What can he deliver? What is his personal value to it? Somebody can be a great technologist, can solve anything. That's his personal value. So important that you generate and identify, develop, certified, qualified in that personal value. And I can't talk more on this. Anyone, create your personal value, you will be successful in your career. And it should be at least 3 to 5. And in fact, it can start with 5, shorten it to 3, and keep it at 3, and keep developing it. And if that has to be changed on time, If somebody is saying process, I'm clear. You can't say I'm good at waterfall, right? Now it's agile, whatever agile, different forms of agile, right? So very important that you keep tab of the time also, but ensure that you have a personal value, and in not have one, you at least have three. Holistic self-growth, and this the pandemic has shown us. Job, your health, your family, how you keep contacts with a lot of people, everything is important. Holistic self-growth. Grow yourself in terms of technology, grow yourself in terms of management, grow yourself in terms of personal health. Holistic self-growth, that's only thing that can really keep it happening. It's not one angle. In fact, I was reading some article. Previously there were roles only for strategy, only for operations, only for technology. Now what they want is all combined, right? So very similar example to is holistic self-growth. Important that you do that. How do you balance your life? How do you balance personal and professional life in this remote world? Because the time zones are all, everything is time. Anybody can call you anytime because they're all remote. The third one is your self-image of yourself and the positive intent. I told you, don't focus on the job losses that's happening. It will happen, but keep focusing. If I were you, I will focus on why is that person keeping the job? Why can't I be that? Why should I compare myself to the person who's losing a job? That's a positive intent. Self-image. I talked about self-appraisal, right? What do I think about myself? Forget what the world is going to think about you. What you think about yourself will define what the world is going to think about you. So that's another one. So if you look at focus on self, is your self-image, what is the positive intention you want to put around it, your holistic self-growth, and your personal value. Very important. This is not a spiritual talk. This is not this I've seen in, I directly handle say a 40-member team directly in the sense. Then second part, I handle another 100-member team, which is part of it. Another I handle a bigger 15,000 people in terms of bench and all that. If you look at it, right, I can see these three people. Some images come of people who are my top performers. I can actually match. I can actually know most of it for those three people, for those toppers, right? So focus on yourself. That's what the pandemic has told to us, and so that is all the 6 takeaways. Get qualified. Only few segments of customer are in trouble. Your technical skill sets, very important. I told you coding will be your resume for the IT industry at least. And if you're in some other industry, you have to create prototype. You have to show yourself in terms of how do you portray it. A resume is not going to be in paper anymore, and not in LinkedIn. It's not a digital or a physical paper. Soft skills and personal traits, I talked about it. Emotional intelligence, very important, and focusing on yourself. There are 6. If you want me to choose 2 for you, it's get qualified and coding is your resume if you are an IT. And the third one is your emotional intelligence. And that is these 6 things. I close my thing in terms of session, and then we'll open up for Q&A. In terms of innovation, the time has come for us to all innovate in any form, whether it is home, whether it is your office, whether your studies. How do you innovate yourself? How do you look for innovation? Simple innovation. In terms of, I was part of Wipro some time back, and we used to have this competition of co-innovation with customers. Now, if you look at it, right, people are looking for those innovative ideas. And with this remote world, you will be looked up if you are innovative and can share that idea. So look at those small innovations on a daily basis that you can cultivate. And innovation is a habit. Innovation doesn't happen one night. Innovation happens as a habit. You try to be innovative in multiple things, and that's where it comes to. So Kriti, I end my session with this. We can start off with questionnaires, and then we can continue like that. Kriti?
Yes, sure, Ashwin. Shall I read out the questions?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Ashwin, the first question is from Vishwa. So his question is, I heard that full stack developers' work will be replaced by automation in the near future. So what will you suggest for a fresher who's learning web development?
Good question. An automation or robot can never replace an engineer. We have seen that in multiple forums. You have to write a robot anyway. You have to write full stack programming will give you the base to learn everything. And that's what I used, full stack programming. You have to read it through your first year, second year, and then get into other aspects of it. If you know programming, you can learn anything. And what full stack does is gives you that confidence that you know the end-to-end story. So it can never be replaced. I would and if you are get yourself qualified as a full stack engineer, and based on what's your aspirations, you can go into other things, AIML. My problem is I've seen a lot of engineers stumble. They just directly, without knowing Java, they like to learn any language. And I say Java because I am a Java. But if you do not know the basics and jump onto AIML, and what will you do? You will just be a certified AIML engineer without a job. Next question, Naveen.
Yeah, thanks, Ashwin. The next is from Kamal Kant. He wants to know, would there be a hit in the hiring for software engineers this year because America and European countries are the worst affected by COVID? So will it have a blow in terms of the campus hiring or the requirement for organizations this year?
There will be some delays. But I don't see the number dropping. Especially campus engineers, I don't see the number dropping because see, the customers are wanting it more cheaper. I always tell this, for companies to run the biggest differentiator in terms of their cost equation is freshers coming in. Okay, so I don't see it will get delayed. That's my only submission here. It will get delayed for sure, but I don't see the numbers coming down, and that's where even if the getting delayed, right? The delay period, you guys have to use it to get yourself qualified in some form or the other. So I don't see the numbers coming down, and even if it comes down, it's just a matter of a quarter, but it will get delayed for sure. There is, because the customers are also waiting and watching in terms of what can we do, and even all the companies are also waiting and watching. So it will get delayed. I don't see the numbers coming down, at least from the campus part.
Thanks, Ashwin. The next one is by an anonymous person. His question is, though we have fancy domains like data science, ML, AI, what are the chances for employability in current scenario? We heard that there are less position for these skill set now.
Actually, that is where what I'm talking about, right? If you are a full stack engineer, you can rest assured to get a job. And then what I would suggest is you learn AIML, because that's where your growth is. Okay, you will get projects, you will get into, and AIML or the other parts is still a 5 to 10% of our business only, not more than that. But then that's where you get being a full stack engineer, then learn AIML techniques. That's what my suggestion would be. The projects, we are seeing it coming. These are very, and by the way, as a company, if you don't have AIML, we will not get projects. So we need AIML, but I would suggest don't jump into AIML initially. Get yourself qualified as a developer, as in a language, in a full stack, and then go into other stuff.
Thanks, Ashwin. Another question from an anonymous person. He wants to know, would you suggest any tips for a candidate to stand unique post-pandemic competitive world?
Your code is your unique thing. Show them what all code you have written. Show them what is the projects, even if you are not in a job, what are the projects that you have worked on. You can use so much things which are freely available, or you can buy the stuff. Show them the code that you have written. Show them how you have used the time to qualify yourself for during the pandemic. Don't show them certificates of finishing courses. You can do that too, but more importantly, show them the code, and don't try to cheat them by taking the code from net or taking from your friends. You write the code. That's develop something, develop a small prototype, develop, think about a problem statement, they create an app, create a website, host it, use cloud, everything is cheap. In 1,000 rupees, you can host it. Okay, so you do that, and that will be your difference. That will be your key distinct during a pandemic. Spend time in learning. I didn't use the word learnability, which I wanted to end. This is a last. How learnable you are will make a difference. So spend this time rather than getting what to say, bogged down by job losses. Learn.
Next question, two of them have asked the same question in a different way. One person has asked, because of COVID, would we jump into industry 5.0 quickly? If so, another person wants to know what industry 5.0 will be. Since currently we are in industry 4.0, so they wanted to know what industry 5.0 will be.
Industry is still defining what they have to do. I suggest what will happen is, don't look at this jargon of 4.0, 5.0. Get yourself qualified in what is currently available. What is going to happen is, I don't think people are very clear that they want to clean up this mess and start looking at growth. So they will, when you start looking at growth will happen only when you know, when you do something which you have worked for a long time. So my suggestion would be is, don't look at 5.0 and all that. Just look at your current basics, get fully qualified in it, and in what is happening is, cyber security will become a big thing. I see that grow, but so you should keep looking out what is that going to change. What's the next big thing? Cyber security is big. Your in terms of data will become big. How do you use data? Data security is big. So all this is are big. I don't look into the jargon of 5.0 and all that. Just focus on getting yourself on fundamentally ready, and then focusing on other stuff.
Thanks, Ashwin. The next question is, many of the IT professionals and leaders have mentioned as there will be a big delay in terms of onboarding students and big delay in terms of getting jobs in the market. So will it be advisable to go for higher studies this year?
That's a choice, very difficult question to answer, because it's a very personal choice. Okay, so higher studies, how many of there is an affordability of it, and in also in terms of if that study is just another degree or just another qualification, that's a certification, I will not want you to. But if it is very specific, you want to get into higher engineering for a specific subject, I think it's valid to go into it. But then I would suggest not consider that. If you really want to get qualified, say you to take a full stack, or you take say you want to get into something on data or whatever, right? Or if it is a industry specific thing, you want to do some research and go into it, I would suggest do it. But then don't just go for the getting yourself certified. Don't do that.
Thanks, Ashwin. The next question is, sir, you have been saying the importance of full stack. I have been concentrating a lot on front-end engineering alone. So would there be opportunities if I am a specialized person in front-end engineering alone?
See, it's not that you won't be having opportunities. We get a lot of specialist engineers. But see, if we get 10 full stack, we get 2 specialized front-end engineers. So that's so you will have an equality, but you get the idea is, how can you become that full, and if you know the front-end part totally, it's just a matter of time for you to become a full stack. And when I say full stack, you just have to know, because what happens is, suddenly today it's Angular or React or something, tomorrow it changes. But if you're a full stack, you get more, what to say, opportunities. That's the only this thing. It is not that you will not get opportunities.
Okay. The final question which is available here is, so there is a lot of contract opportunities which are opening up in IT now. So do you see that as a change? Should students now be flexible to take up contract opportunities rather than constantly looking for full-time opportunities?
Very good question. Actually, a very, very good question. I don't know who has asked the question, but it's a very good question. See, what is happening is, in terms of, because of the long, people are not able to plan for the heavy future, like long future, 2 years, 3 years. So contracting is an option. It's not that you should not take it. If it is going to add value to yourself, and that's anyway a part of, and no one, previously contracting used to be a very low word, right? I don't think so. You should be open for contracting also. You should be open to look at contracting as an option. What is, because it's fundamentally because of people do not want to invest for a long term. Okay, we are also seeing projects which come to us, right, as very small short term projects. It's because people want to do small stuff, check it, test it, see if it works, then only invest. So it is not, and once you get into a contract and stuff, once you prove yourself, getting a permanent stuff there or getting a permanent job else becomes easier.
Thanks, Ashwin. Okay, so a question with respect to mental health. This pandemic has hit us hard on the mental health of a lot of people. How can we concentrate in this period? How have you been coping up with concentrating on work?
See, I think everything has a time for itself and everything has to be done on that time. Okay, and so what happens is, I found, believe me, and I will talk from very personal to me. When I started this remote working, the first month I was mad. I was literally mad because I was not able to manage what I wanted to do personally, because I have a schedule on my own of yoga or my physical exercise, my CrossFit program, spending time with daughters, spending time with family, spending time with friends, and my office. But what happens is I was neither giving time to anything because I was doing everything at every point of time. So it was hitting me hard. It was really hitting me hard. One thing that I changed myself is time for everything. If you keep that schedule, it becomes easier.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ashwin. I mean, those were all the questions that we had.
Yeah, so, Naveen, before you end, I have one final slide to show. You are able to see my slide, right?
Yes, Dr. Ashwin, please.
Yeah, I think before we end the program, let me see. Wishing you most and more in this journey of getting qualified in everything else in life. To all of you who have attended, and Kriti will publish this. I am going to start a series through my company on employability, where we'll specifically talk maybe half an hour or 1 hour slots fortnightly, where we are going to talk about each concept of it. Sometimes it can be coding, sometimes it can be how to remotely work, sometimes how to learn. So we'll do that. I am not yet fully formulated that, but I'll work with this thing and let you know. So that's the update from me. And thanks to everybody. From my bottom of my heart, thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Dr. Ashwin. Ashwati?
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ashwin. Your 6 takeaways on various aspects like getting qualified, how coding and soft skills play a vital role, and most importantly, to focus on self is really helpful for each and every one of us out here. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with everyone. Our next session is on elevator pitch, all about telling about yourself and how to communicate during interview. It's on 26th of June at 10:30 a.m. Please do register yourself for the same. Thank you everyone for being there, present at this webinar. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you. Thanks all. Stay safe. Thank you.